Hey y'all, it's your girl Nita be watching, back with another video. Now, Sinners is still hot. It's going to be hot until, because the movie is just on fire. But I found it really interesting when I was watching Ryan Coogler's interviews, how they kept bringing up his Warner Brothers deal. So, as usual, I went down a rabbit hole because I'm newsy, and I wanted to figure out why were they talking to him as if he was incompetent of the deal he did, as if it was a bad deal. So in this video, we're going to get into what the deal was about, what a lot of the commentary was about regarding it. And I also wanted to compare how when the Matrix woman made her script, it was stolen, but now we have moved to a point where we want to own ours through and through, and it's a problem. So let's get into these clips. My commentary will be at the end. As always, thanks for tuning in. Now check this out.
I'm not the first filmmaker to get any of these deals, and Warner Brothers is not the first studio to provide these deals to a filmmaker. So like I think that a lot has been made of my deal in particular. I'm not totally sure why. I have my guesses. But I've been in the industry long enough to know what kind of deals are possible, and nothing about this deal is a new thing.
What's your guesses, Ryan?
It is not a I'd rather not say. but the attention on what's happening with this project, outside of it as a piece of art and as a piece of commerce has been very interesting. But for me, this film was very important to me. As a writer director, I've made over $2 billion at the global box office. I'm not yet 40 years old. It's taken a lot of time, commitment, energy, and I've missed out on a lot of things in my life. Making films that will always be owned by other people. For this one, because it was so personal. And because I had the ability to negotiate, I asked for a few things that were very important to me for this project, and for what it was about and what it meant to me and my family. And thankfully, I was able to get those things I was asking for from Warner Brothers.
Let me give some info on Ryan Coogler, by the way. Your first movie, Fruitvale Station. Then you made Creed. Your next movie was Black Panther. The only Marvel movie to be Oscar nominated for Best Picture. Then you made Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Ryan Coogler. Let me give some.
Hey everybody. Okay, so there are 3 reasons why Ryan Coogler's deal seems unorthodox and why it's allegedly shaking up the movie and entertainment industry. Number 1 is that he gets final cut of the film. That is not typical when it comes to a studio putting up the majority, if not all, of the money. Usually they get the final cut. Number 2 is he gets first dollar. That basically means that he is going to get paid as soon as the movie hits the box office, instead of waiting for the studio to recoup their investment. Number 3, his rights revert back to him in his intellectual property in 25 years. That is also not usually the case. And the reason is that the studio understands that this particular film is set up to be a franchise, and he has a successful history of creating franchises and multiple films. They stand to make millions of dollars off of his films. He has a proven track record. That is the reason why his particular deal seems so unorthodox. But that also means that he is actually setting up his estate to have this film just like any other piece of property, and it can stand to make millions and millions of dollars for his estate for generations to come. Another reason why I think that he made this film in particular, made the vampires the representation in the film as far as it being a horror film, because vampire movies are typically timeless. We watch them over and over again. They are proven in the industry as movies that will stand the test of time. So while I don't think that his film is going to set up a whole new precedent for the way it is that deals are structured moving forward, I do think that it is a step in the right direction for artists' rights, 100%.
Absolutely, let's break down Ryan Coogler's deal on Sinners, and you will see why some studio executives are saying, this is the end of Hollywood. Just FYI, this was originally covered in Vulture, but this AV Club article doesn't have a paywall, and it's kind of paraphrasing the other one. So, the deal that Ryan Coogler struck when he sold the Sinners package, it is being called unorthodox. Some anonymous Hollywood types were willing to call it very dangerous, and that it could be the end of the studio system. So they set the scene here. Coogler was fresh off 2 franchises, Creed and 2 Black Panther films, when he decided to shop around this Michael B. Jordan project. And I remember when this happened, it was like very mysterious package. But that package came with basically a list of requirements, like we will only sell you this movie if blank. The article notes that some of these were very big asks, but not outside the realm of possibility for a guy currently writing a series of major box office wins. The first thing he asked for was final cut of the film. This is something that directors often try to get. It's hard to get in the studio system, and the higher the budget, the harder it is to get. This film was made for $90 million. He also asked for first dollar gross. This means that Coogler starts getting a portion of the film's profits from the moment it opens, rather than having to wait for the studio to make back its money first, which is the norm. The really biggie though, and this one is huge, is that he wanted ownership of the film to revert to him after 25 years. This is also something that is incredibly rare, especially for films that clearly are going to spawn a franchise. And they do mention some other people here. They say Mel Gibson owns The Passion of the Christ. Richard Linklater has partial ownership of Boyhood, which I didn't know, but that makes sense. Tarantino will get Once Upon a Time in Hollywood back in a couple decades. But here's the most interesting part. So the reasoning why Coogler said that he did this says the reason is rooted at least in part of Sinners' focus on themes of Black artists' ownership of their own culture. If you have seen the film, this makes so much sense that, like, if you tried to fight him on this, I don't see how your argument couldn't be anything other than racist and incapable of understanding what the movie's about. But of course, you also have this practical element, which is like he is generating massive original material that is so sure to spawn a franchise. Warner Brothers loves, they've taken Dune, turned that into a TV show. I strongly feel, especially because the world is so lived in already, that Sinners will be a TV show and they're going to make a sequel. And it is interesting, right? Because we don't know what Hollywood will even look like in 25 years. Will it even exist still? But we also know that franchises, especially genre franchises, vampire franchises, like, they never die. Now, in terms of the whole, like, we are freaking out because the deal was so good to the creator, I think it's ridiculous. And there's a reason why those quotes are anonymous. Anyway, go see Sinners this weekend, support original film. As my friend BJ Colangelo pointed out when she did a press junket for this film, we have seen Black vampires before, but those movies are often not made by Black filmmakers. But also, everything else aside, the movie just rips. So why are you watching this? Go see it.
All right, y'all. Now, let me get into my comments about what we just watched here. And I'm going to try to keep it short. Y'all know I get a little long-winded, but I'm going to do the best I can with what I got. Now, if you hear this little in the background, that's my little notebook, because the girl is getting a bit older and it's getting a bit harder to remember my thought, because I have so many thoughts and sometimes I just listen. You know. So that's what you hear in the background. Now, what was confusing to me when I was watching the interviews he was doing was, and I noticed this a lot, when you have people, especially Black people, that are really confident in themselves and they are, being fueled by a passion. Here come the criticizing Chelsea's and Chad's, and it's like they try to put seeds of doubt to make you feel like, do I know what I'm doing? So as it was stated, his deal with Warner Brothers I was noticing a lot of commentary from all types of people. Now, on one hand, you have people saying like, "Oh my gosh, this deal was awesome. He's not the first person to have this deal. Quentin Tarantino also got this deal," and they were talking about the significance of the deal. Then on the other hand, it was, "Oh my gosh, why would he wait until after 25 years to get the rights? Like, who's going to be checking for this movie 25 years later? Nobody going to be wanting to watch that movie." And I'm like, and the people who were saying that was black people. That's why we ain't got a lot now. Because a lot of black people do not think long term. They think right now. And that's the problem. We be talking about how other ethnicity cultures, they got generational wealth and they're able to pass things down. Y'all on here talking about what's the big deal? Who gonna want it after 25 years? Like, we still ain't talking about Roots to this day. Roots came out in 1977 and it's still selling. It's still relevant. The Color Purple came out in 1985. People still buying them books. They still watching the movie. They doing plays. And guess what? That check is still getting paid to whoever owns those things. Okay? 25 years is basically Ryan Coogler's seed of generational wealth that he not only is reaping the benefits of now because they say he got paid off the front end, but in 25 years, the baby that they're about to be having will be 25. She and her siblings will be entitled to Sinners, and whatever they could do with Sinners. You mean to tell me in 25 years, people ain't gonna be checking for Sinners? We still checking for Roots. We still checking for The Color Purple. Hell, we still checking for The Lion King. Mufasa just came out with his own movie. What are you talking about? Now, I wanted to get into The Matrix and the big controversy of how her manuscript was stolen from her. Her name was Sophia Stewart. She submitted her work to a film company in the early 1980s, and it was later used without her permission or credit. The case ended up being dismissed due to a lack of evidence, but it was so common back then, even today, where people who come from humble beginnings, who just want to get their foot in the door, they have these ideas, fresh ideas, and you have these filmmakers, these companies, these people who have connections, who will steal it and then sell it as their own, pitch it as their own, and make money. Now, fast forward, hearing Ryan Coogler doing his research, doing his due diligence to make sure that this movie that was based on black ownership and these men having their dreams stole from them, of course he wasn't about to take something that he literally gave life to, that he was sent to him from the ethers, first of all, because the movie, if you know, you know, he was not about to let that movie die off in the hands of the white man. Period. We see this all the time when black people get on. When the first thing they do after their first successful year is they sell it. They sell it. The patent change. The customers are upset. I mean, we could go down the line, all the companies that have done so. So when it comes to movies, I felt like he knew what he was doing, not only for himself, but for his future generations. He was planting seeds. And what if Sophia Stewart had that same type of, somebody to help her or put her in the right direction? To this day, she would have been able to receive some type of something from the Matrix. It's been, 4 Matrices out. And it all started from her manuscript, allegedly. So I just felt like a lot of people were just upset because, as usual, they're used to taking black creativeness, black ideas, and profiting it off of it. For the most part, black people were just able to be the face of it, and that will be enough. No, nowadays, no. You came up with that, baby. You need to see it through and make sure that it will feed your children when you are no longer able to. For many generations, black people have had to choose what feeds us now over what feeds us later, which is why many of us don't negotiate. Many of us don't know how to sell ourselves and to achieve the type of heights we know we can, because we don't know how to pitch. We don't know what to say. A lot of us wasn't taught that as well, which is one thing I liked in the movie Going to Sinners, was when Smoke told the young girl, don't settle for just whatever. He was telling her, you need to negotiate. And that was so pivotal in the movie as well, because look, a lot of us don't know how to negotiate. We take whatever is given and we're just grateful just to be at the table when we could literally in our own right own the whole table. We could own the whole house if we really put that effort into it and stuck, stand on our ability to do so. I'm all getting tongue tied. But yeah, we play, a lot of us play too small. A lot of us have so many ideas, creativities just oozing, wanting to come out. But I'm loving the shift that's happening right now. The narrative is changing. We have so many black creatives that have forged ahead, created their own lanes out of no way. I mean, we have Issa Rae's, Tyler Perry, Ava DuVernay. Ava DuVernay. I hope I said her last name right. And Ryan Coogler forging ahead, showing us how to play the long game without apology. For so long, black creators have given their ideas. They have handed them right over just to get a little piece of the pie. And all that has done is made Hollywood and executives used to black people not wanting much, just whatever. I mean, look at all the famous celebs back in the day. When we think of TLC, how they was just getting cars. They making $1 million records and they getting cars. You got people who weren't given their full salary. You had artists who was the headliner of the show still having to go through the back door just to get in through the kitchen. We ain't doing that no more. Pay us our due. The more our people seek to own their own stuff and not fall for the okie doke or the intimidation, the more you'll see opportunities being open and generational wealth being built. Because like I said, a lot of our people have these ideas, but they are so used to just handing them over and not playing the big ball that needs to be played. And a lot of these gatekeepers that's in these industries, they continue to make checks off of our backs because no one wants to stand up for themselves. They just take whatever is given. So Ryan Coogler, doing what he had to do, he made sure there was no middleman. He making sure that his work of art wouldn't be able to be rewritten, wouldn't be able to be whitewashed or filled with negative stereotypes. Because one thing about Sinners, even though it was a film that featured a lot of black history, it did not leave you feeling like you were powerless. I feel like a lot of movies, especially when they go that far back, they always have this guilt because it's about slavery. It's about it's always like reminding you of where your people came from, but from a bad place. Whereas Sinners, it was like uplifting. Like you left the movie theater feeling empowered. I know I did. So hopefully you learned like I did, because I definitely was confused why people was giving our cousin Ryan so much heat over, let me hide the chip back, over like his deal as if he didn't know what he was doing. And I'm like, they always trying to downplay our genius and our greatness, like we don't know how to move. And I'm just so happy to see him, and like I said, many others claiming their gifts and not settling for less, not choosing to take the crumbs under the table. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I really enjoyed making this video. If you have any other comments, suggestions, again, let me know. As always, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch y'all in the next video.